Listen to me. You are not a burden. Stop saying it, stop believing it. People have made you feel like you're too much. That's their problem, not yours. You have been conditioned, whether it be by your family, by society, by your friends, that you are only valuable if you're useful. That's a lie. Stop believing it. It's so common to feel like a burden. So you're not alone in that feeling, especially if you're going through a tough time. You can feel like your problems are too heavy, your emotions are too heavy, the mess that is you is too heavy for the people that you love. But in reality, the people that you love you and want to be there for you. And that narrative that you have, that you are a burden, is simply not true. In this scenario, you are the main agent of your own suffering. You hold yourself back from leaning on the people that you love because you believe that if you are not perfect and if you are not useful, you will be loved less or needed less or respected less. And that's just not the case. This specific topic, something I've struggled with my whole life. I've always felt that my emotions are too heavy, that what it is I feel is too much for other people. And I was conditioned to believe this. My parents never let me express emotions growing up. My teachers always invalidated my emotions growing up. The students around me always invalidated my emotions growing up. It's understandable to have this belief because experiences brought you to this point. It wasn't just a thing that you came up with on your own. However, letting these beliefs that were built in childhood impact your adult relationships is wrong. And it's doing both yourself a disservice by not leaning on anyone, and it's doing your loved ones a disservice because you are not giving them the opportunity to be there for you. Growing up, you were taught to shrink yourself. Maybe your family made you feel like you're the problem. Maybe your friends, maybe society told you that needing help is a weakness. But I need you to understand something. This is manipulation. People benefit when you stay small and when you stay quiet. The reality is these feelings are learned, they're not fact. And these beliefs, they're doing a hell of a lot of damage to you. It keeps you from asking for help when you need it, or maybe you shrink yourself to please others, or you stay in toxic and unhealthy relationships because you believe you need to earn love. It keeps you distant from the people that love you. You keep everyone at arm's length because you're so afraid to lean on them. You're so afraid to show them the pain that you're in. And as such, you keep them so far away from you that you never feel that connection, that closeness. And all this ends up doing is leading to burnout, self-doubt, and self-sabotage. You burn yourself out trying to be easy to love. It's a ridiculous notion because if you think about it, you never feel that your friends or your loved ones are a burden when they come to you with something vulnerable or something heavy. You feel honored that they were opening up to you and that they're willing to share the pain that they're in. And you feel honored to be able to help them through that. Yet when it comes to yourself, you don't give yourself that same grace. You believe that other people will only love you when you're perfect and that if you bring your mess to them, they'll scoff and they'll look away. It's illogical, yet it's a belief you hold. It's a belief we all hold to one degree or another. Let me tell you something. The right people, they'll never make you feel like a burden. But you will never know that that's the case if you don't actually try and be vulnerable and open up to the people that you love. This is one of the hardest beliefs to break for me. And it's something that has been bothering me this past month especially, that I don't open up to the people that I love. And it's interesting because I used to think that I do, but in reality, I'd only open up to the people I love after the crisis has been averted. After I felt separate from my feelings, where they were all in a box and I could talk about them, then I would talk about them in a very clinical way and not in seeking solace or comfort in another person. Instead, it was, hey, let me just talk about this so I seem human. But it wasn't even achieving the desired effect because I was still putting up a front of perfection, that things don't faze me or I don't get hurt. When in reality, I feel so deeply and I hurt so deeply, I just don't know how to talk about it or share that with the people in my life. And in the past couple of weeks, I decided to open up to my friends. Interesting. I don't think it was even a conscious decision. I think I was just so overwhelmed with so many emotions. And I'm so grateful that I have friends in my life that are consistent and there for me and that offer me a safe space and who push me and encourage me to speak my mind and to speak my feelings. And once I started doing so, it was so amazing to see how beautiful and kind my friends are and how willing they are to be there for me. It's ridiculous because I know that. I know that consciously, yet subconsciously, I didn't actually apply that. I felt my feelings were too heavy and that I was too deeply flawed for the people that I love. Yet, when I bared my soul, when I bared my pain to my closest friends, they showed me such kindness and such grace that I would have never known possible had I not tried and taken the risk and been vulnerable. Struggling doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. And the people you love want to support you, they want to be there for you. So stop pushing them away. When you push them away, you reinforce this narrative that you are alone in this world and that nobody is there for you. But you also have to take an active role in connecting yourself with others. People can't read your mind. I understand the sentiment. I expect people to read my mind all the time. And that's because I grew up in a circumstance where I had to be hyper vigilant of the emotions of the people around me. So I became very good at reading my loved ones. And because I was very good at reading my loved ones, I can anticipate their needs. And when I saw that my friends did not have that same skill set, they couldn't anticipate my needs, it made me feel less loved. When in reality, that skill set is not normal. That skill set is born out of trauma. People have their own lives, people have their own things going on. It's not that they don't want to be there for you, but they also can't read your mind. If you need support, you have to reach out. You have to be willing to say, hey, I'm struggling. And if someone makes you feel like your emotional baggage is a burden, then they're not your people, period. And if somebody acts like you're too much or makes you feel that you're unlovable, they are not your people. So move on. Now, take this in its context, right? We can't throw our emotions on people all the time, 24/7. And the people that do that are a whole nother category of people. Who I'm trying to reach in this, you are the type of person that never shares, never unloads, that tries to carry everything on your own shoulders without giving your loved ones the opportunity to help shoulder those burdens with you. So what you end up doing is you carry everybody else's baggage with you and your own baggage, and you refuse to allow others to help you with yours. How is that fair? How is that right? It's so ridiculous, but it's such a hard habit to break. It's such a hard belief to break. And what I've come to realize is the only way to break that is to do the scary thing. And it's what I've been doing this past month. I've been doing the scary thing. I've been talking to my friends. I've been talking to my family. I've reached out to those that hurt me. And guess what? A lot of times it turns out amazing and the response is so much more beautiful and wonderful than I could have ever imagined. And sometimes it doesn't work out that well. But again, what I'm coming to learn is you can't take that to heart. Some people won't be kind to you. You can try and reason it out. You can say it's because of their past. You can say X or Y or Z. It doesn't really matter. You'll never get the answer, and that's fine. Yeah, it hurts, but you'll survive that because the right people will fill you with so much love and grace and kindness that the lack of those qualities in others will quickly fade from your mind. So how do we shift this mindset? First, stop apologizing for existing. No more sorry for bothering you or I hate to ask. No more biting your tongue because you feel like your emotions are too heavy or too dark and twisty. Second, recognize your worth. You are worthy whether you're thriving or you're struggling. I get it. You might feel worthy when you're thriving. Yet the moments you start to struggle, you do not feel worthy. I understand. I feel you. But that's not fair to yourself and that's not fair to others. You're making the people in your life seem like crappy people. It's something I had to realize. I'm making the people in my life seem like crappy people that they can lean on me, but I cannot lean on them. When in reality, they never made me feel that way. It was my own inner dialogue and my own beliefs that made me feel that way. Unworthy of love if I wasn't perfect. And as you get older and life gets more complicated, there is no shot at perfection. And attempting to maintain perfection is so isolating and lonely. And it's also confusing to the people around you. If you put on this mask of perfection and then all of a sudden you blow up, other people are going to be so confused. They won't have the context to understand that you're hurting and you blew up because you lashed out, because you're actually sad or whatever it might be. You have to give people the right context to understand you when you struggle. And to add on to that point, the third thing is surround yourself with the right people. Because in this exploration that I've done in this past month, I have opened myself up to show that I'm struggling to a handful of people in my life, some closer than others. And majority of that group welcomed my struggle with open arms and actually have been so amazing. I can't put it into words. The kindness and the grace and the strength that they've given me. A couple have ignored me, and that really hurt, yeah. But it just shows that those weren't the right people to be in my life, that they don't have the capacity to see my worth or to love me in all forms and versions of myself. And my initial thought when I got that response is that I'm unlovable, because how could you just ignore me? But the reality is, it's not that you're unlovable or that I'm unlovable. And I can't quite give you the reason why a person has ignored your vulnerability or made you feel less than. There's 1,000 reasons why a person might do that. The reality is, their reasoning doesn't matter. The message was sent and it's clear, and you just have to bow out gracefully and let it be what it is. Because holding on to people that hurt you like that is only taking up space and blocking God from bringing in the right people in your life, the people that will show you grace and kindness and patience and give you strength in your struggle. Fourth, give yourself the grace you give others. You are so kind to other people. You are so understanding of other people and their pain and their struggle. You are considerate of other people and you hold space for them. You feel honored to be there and to help them through the pain and the weight that is in their heart. So give yourself that same grace. Why do you think that everybody else is worthy of this grace except you? Why? It's such an unrealistic premise to hold that everybody else that you love is deserving of grace except you. So give yourself the grace you give others. And fifth, treat yourself like someone you really love. I get that you might have self-love to a certain degree, but self-love is an all-encompassing thing. You can't only love parts of yourself and say, well, I love myself. No, you have to love the whole of who you are. You wouldn't call your loved one a burden for needing you when things are tough or for leaning on you when things are tough. So why are you calling yourself a burden? I know it's hard. I know that you spent your whole life hiding who you are, hiding your emotions. You might not even know where to start, how to speak about these things when you feel them. You might feel so overwhelmed, all thoughts leave your mind. That's me. I get it. I feel you. But the only way out of that is to start somewhere. Just try. Just try. Because trying to handle everything yourself is so exhausting and isolating and lonely. And it's unfair to make the people that you love out to be people that you can't lean on unless they gave you that indication. But if you've never tried to lean on them, you don't know. So it's not fair to look at them and say, oh, I can't lean on them. Oh, they won't love me if I'm broken. That's devaluing their character and that's devaluing your worth. What I learned in this past few weeks is that my friends have only loved me more since I've broken down and shown my vulnerability, that they've only shown me more kindness and more strength and more grace and more love since I showed them the hurt that I feel. And it's strengthened our relationships and it's strengthened my heart. And it's made me so eternally grateful for the love that I have in my life and for the ones that showed me they can't be trusted with my vulnerability. It also allowed me to make a decision about who I want in my life and who I need to let go. And in letting them go, I'm making space for better and kinder and more graceful people in my life. And it's not to say that the people that couldn't hold space for me are bad people. Maybe they're going through their own thing. God knows. It's not my business. What's my business is how they moved wasn't right for me. And maybe I wasn't right for them. And that's fine because the right people will come. I struggle with this, but I know that the right people will come. God has never failed me. God has never failed you. So why question his ability to give you everything that you need when he has never once failed you in past? Every perceived failure has, in hindsight, brought you to exactly where you need to be. And as hard as it is to see that when you're in the depth of your sadness and pain, hold on to that truth that God has never failed you and will not fail you now. So go out there and live authentically and openly and with vulnerability, because in reality, there is no such thing as bravery without vulnerability. That is something Brene Brown teaches, and she is actually a God-sent angel on this earth. Her studies and her teachings have changed my life. There are 2 books I read that changed my life. Dare to Lead, which is all about the power of vulnerability, and Atlas of the Heart, which is all about navigating and expressing your emotions. The audiobook versions are amazing and they can teach you a lot about how to embrace vulnerability if you've spent your whole life so guarded. But to wrap this up, I want to leave you with this. Stop this self-sabotage right now. You are not a burden. Stop acting like you are. The world needs you exactly as you are. If someone can't handle your truth, your emotions, your struggles, they were never meant for you. They were never meant to be in your life. So reflect on where this belief came from and start letting that go. Because life is too short to live in a cage built on your own suffering. It's too short to be afraid to say what you mean and what you feel because you're afraid of the perceptions of others. Life is too short to live half-heartedly. Let that sink in. You are not a burden. You are loved way more than you know, and the people that love you want to be there for you. So just let them. All right, that's everything that I had to say today. I'll talk to you guys again soon. You take care. Peace out. Bye.